3 women had already died, all of them young, all of them beautiful, all of them last seen walking with the same man. Nobody suspected him, because when you looked into his eyes, you forgot how to think. When he smiled, you smiled back. He was the village dream, the golden boy, the one mothers prayed for. But under his wrapper was something no one could imagine, not a man, a monster. Before we dive in, hit that like button if you're ready for the truth they don't want told. Subscribe if you're new to this journey of shocking truths and poetic justice. Sit back and let's get into it. Ndolo was a small village tucked between 2 hills in the Nnenna kingdom. Life there moved slowly. People fetched water from the stream, children ran barefoot, and in the evenings, everyone gathered under the moonlight to share stories and laughter. It was the kind of place where nothing ever changed until the deaths began. It started with whispers. A girl was found in the square, cold and still, her eyes wide open, her mouth frozen in shock. 2 strange marks on her neck, like tiny wounds, like snake bites. But there was no snake in sight. No one had seen one. No one had heard a scream. Then it happened again and again. 3 deaths, all the same. No witnesses, no answers. Fear crept into every corner of Ndolo. Mothers started walking their daughters to the stream. Girls refused to go out alone, even during the day. The village grew quiet, suspicious, uneasy. Chief Ebele called a meeting. Hunters were sent into the forest to find the mysterious snake everyone believed was behind the killings. They returned with empty hands and confused faces. There was nothing, no snake, no trail, no clues, just more questions. And while the village lived in fear, one man walked around like he didn't have a care in the world. His name was Nnenna. Nnenna was the kind of man people turned their heads to watch. Tall, strong, skin like polished ebony, arms shaped by years of bricklaying. He had the kind of smile that made even married women bite their lips. His voice was smooth, deep, and careful. Everything about him seemed calm, clean, perfect. Women loved him. Men wanted to be him, and he knew it. Every time Nnenna passed by the market, girls giggled behind their wrappers. When he went to the well, the line would somehow grow longer, just so the women could be near him. He helped them carry their pots. He knew how to look into a woman's eyes without saying too much, just enough to make her feel seen. But no one knew that every time he made a woman feel special, he was choosing his next victim. The village was too blinded by his charm to see the truth. He lived alone in a small hut near the edge of Ndolo. Not too far, but far enough. Close enough to stay connected. Far enough for privacy. And that privacy is where the real horror happened. Many nights, he walked with a woman. She smiled. She laughed. She followed. She thought she was lucky. By morning, she was dead. 2 small holes on her neck. Eyes wide, cold skin. And Nnenna, he would show up late to the scene, holding a calabash of pap, looking confused, pretending to be shocked like everyone else. He knew no one would suspect him. Why would they? He was Nnenna, the village sweetheart, the helpful builder, the perfect man. But behind that smile was something evil, and the killings didn't stop. As the weeks passed, the fear grew. But so did Nnenna's power. The fewer the women, the more attention he got. The more scared people became, the more they clung to him for normalcy, the perfect cover. Until one morning, she arrived, a woman, tall, dark-skinned, and serious. She walked into the village like she had lived there her whole life. She carried her bag on her head and barely spoke. just a quiet good morning here and there. Her name was Nnenna. She came to stay with her aunt. That was all she said. But from the moment Nnenna entered Ndolo, something shifted. Obinna saw her walking past the blacksmith shop. She didn't stare at him. She didn't smile. She didn't blush. She didn't even slow down, just walked straight past him like he didn't matter. Obinna blinked. He turned to watch her walk away. No woman had ever ignored him before, ever. And that's when the hunt began, because Obinna always got what he wanted. But Nnenna wasn't like the others. She didn't come to be chosen. She came to choose. From the day Nnenna walked into Ndolo, Obinna couldn't stop thinking about her. He watched her from a distance, arms folded, lips pressed tight, eyes fixed. But she gave him nothing. No shy glance, no smile, not even a nod. She walked past him like he didn't exist, and that drove him mad. Obinna had never needed to chase a woman before. They always came to him. They laughed at his jokes, touched his arm for no reason, and looked at him like he was sent from heaven. But Nnenna was different. She came, greeted people politely, and minded her business. She helped her aunt sell roasted yam in the market. She fetched water herself. She walked to the farm alone. She sat under the mango tree in the evenings with a notebook in her lap. She was calm, focused, alone. The women whispered, "She's just forming." The men laughed, "Obinna will crack her soon." But this wasn't about winning her over anymore. Obinna was no longer flirting. He was obsessed. He started appearing wherever she went. Not too close, just enough to be seen. He offered to carry her firewood. She said no. He brought ground nuts to her aunt's stall. She thanked him, but didn't eat them. He greeted her every morning with that soft smile. She greeted him back. That was all. And that silence, her quiet refusal, started eating at him. Obinna didn't understand it. He had broken down women stronger than her. His smile had melted even the proudest. But Nnenna wasn't melting. She didn't flinch. She didn't joke. She didn't act impressed. She simply watched him sometimes with calm, unreadable eyes. That made her dangerous. And for the first time in his life, Obinna felt nervous. One evening, just before sunset, he waited near the small path that led to the farm behind the village. He knew she passed there in the evenings with cassava leaves from the backyard. He leaned on a tree, arms crossed, pretending not to care. Then she came, walking slowly, a basket on her head, her face as calm as ever. He stepped forward to block her path. "Nnenna," he said, voice smooth, "you've been avoiding me." She stopped, looked straight at him. "I haven't," she said. "I've just been busy." He smiled. "You're always so serious. Let me walk with you, just for a while." She looked at him again, no fear in her eyes. Then she stepped to the side and walked around him. "No, thank you," she said. And just like that, she was gone. Obinna stood there frozen. His face burned, his pride cracked. No woman had ever walked away from him like that. He had been ignored before, but never rejected, never told no. That single moment lit a fire inside him, hot, angry, and dangerous. Back in her room that night, Nnenna sat by the window, staring out into the darkness. In her wrapper, tucked safely near her hip, was a small silver flute. It wasn't just decoration. It wasn't a toy. It was a weapon. She hadn't told anyone, not even her aunt, why she really came to Ndolo. But she hadn't forgotten. Amara, her best friend, her soul sister, the girl who died here in silence. Weeks before her death, Amara had sent Nnenna letters. She was excited. She had met someone, a man, tall, charming. "He makes me feel like the only woman in the world," she wrote. But she never said his name. Now Nnenna knew. It was Obinna. Before she left her home village, Nnenna visited someone most people feared, an old woman, the village oracle. Her name was Dibia Maji. Her eyes were white with age, but she saw far beyond flesh and blood. Nnenna brought Amara's letters. She asked only one question: "Who is killing these women?" The oracle said nothing at first, just lit her herbs and closed her eyes. Then, after a long silence, she spoke in a low, rough voice. "There is a man," she said, "but his body hides something evil. His manhood is not a man's. It is a serpent, a spirit tied to him. It feeds on women's trust, on their desire. He charms them, and when they fall, it strikes. 2 marks, just like a snake. And once it bites, they don't live." Nnenna felt cold all over. A man with a snake between his legs? She didn't want to believe it, but too many women were dead, and the wounds matched. The fear matched. The pattern matched. She asked, "Can it be stopped?" The oracle nodded slowly. "It follows his whistle, but there is a sound it fears. I will give you this." She pulled out a tiny silver flute. It looked ordinary, but it hummed with strange energy. "Let him believe he has you," the oracle said. "Let him feel safe. Then, when he calls the snake, blow this flute once, only once." Nnenna took it with both hands and left without another word. Now she sat in the dark, watching the trees sway. She knew Obinna wouldn't stop, not until he thought he had her. He would try again, and she would let him. But this time, he wasn't hunting a victim. He was walking into a trap. The days that followed moved slowly in Ndolo. The sky remained blue, the market stayed noisy, and people still gathered around the well to gossip. But underneath all the normal chatter, something was shifting, something dangerous, something quiet. Nnenna kept doing the usual things, helping her aunt roast yam, fetching water, greeting elders. She smiled a little more now, nodded a little faster, moved like someone who had finally let her guard down. But in her heart, she was waiting. She could feel the change in the air. Obinna had pulled back. No more following her around, no more gifts, no more soft greetings, no more showing up where she went. He had become silent, and that silence told Nnenna everything she needed to know. He wasn't gone. He was watching. He was planning. Obinna too felt something shifting inside him. He sat outside his hut most evenings, sharpening his machete with long, slow strokes. His eyes stayed on the path. His muscles were tense. But he wasn't thinking about farming. He wasn't even thinking about the village. He was thinking about her, Nnenna. Her calm made him restless. Her silence made him angry. Her presence made him feel like a boy again, chasing something he couldn't catch. But this time, he had a plan. This time, he wouldn't chase. He would wait, let her come to him. And strangely, it started to work. Nnenna noticed the shift, his silence, his distance, the way he barely looked her way anymore. And she understood why. He was testing her, waiting to see if she would come closer on her own. She needed to. The plan wouldn't work if he still saw her as strong. He needed to believe she was soft now, willing, open. So one evening, just before dusk, she approached him. He was sitting beneath a tree, shirtless, sweat in his chest, machete in hand. "You've been quiet lately," she said. Obinna looked up slowly. "I've been giving you space." "I noticed." He leaned back, watching her carefully. "You still don't trust me." Nnenna nodded. I don't trust easily. Obinna smiled, not his usual wide grin, the one that made girls trip over their own feet. This one was small, almost real. Maybe that's why I like you, he said. She sat down on a rock a few feet away. They said nothing for a while, just the sound of the trees moving and a baby crying in the distance. It was the first real silence they shared, and in that silence, the trap began to close. 2 nights later, Nnenna was sweeping outside when Obinna passed. He stopped near the gate, wiped his forehead, and cleared his throat. I was thinking, he said, maybe you'd like to walk with me, just around the village, nothing much. She straightened up and nodded once. All right. They walked together down the same dusty path she had walked alone many times before. This time, it felt heavier, slower. Obinna kept his voice soft. He asked her questions, where she was from, what her home was like, what she loved doing as a child. She answered simply, offering just enough to keep him interested, never enough to give herself away. He told her about his work, how many houses he had helped build, how the village trusted him. He didn't mention the women. He didn't need to. By the 4th walk, she smiled once. By the 6th, she let him carry her calabash. By the 7th, she let his hand rest on hers for a second too long. Obinna believed she was falling, and that night, he finally made his move. He invited her to his hut. It was just after sunset. The sky was dark orange. The air hung thick like something was about to break. Inside his hut, Obinna lit a small oil lamp and laid out a mat on the floor. He poured palm wine into 2 small calabashes and wiped his hands clean. When Nnenna arrived, she entered slowly, calm, barefoot, her wrapper tied firm, her hair in a simple bun. Obinna smiled. Welcome? She gave a small nod. Thank you. They sat across from each other. The oil lamp cast soft shadows on the mud walls. Obinna handed her a calabash and raised his own. To new friendships, he said. She raised hers and drank. He sat closer, but not too close. Everything about him was controlled, measured, smooth. You're not like the others, he said. I get that a lot, she replied. He reached for her hand. This time, she didn't pull away. You're strong, he whispered, and I like that. She stayed still, quiet. Then slowly, he leaned in closer. His voice dropped to a whisper. Do you know the difference between a man's manhood and a snake? Nnenna didn't blink, didn't flinch, didn't move. Obinna smiled wider now, like someone who had waited a long time for this moment. Then he whistled. The sound was low, software slow, like a lullaby that didn't belong to any child. Then something shifted. The air turned heavy. The lamp flickered. From under his wrapper, something began to move. It was thick, long, dark, covered in oily scales. A snake, alive, real, breathing. Its tongue flicked the air. Its red eyes locked onto Nnenna. Obinna watched her closely, waiting to see the fear, waiting to see her body freeze, waiting for her to beg. But nothing happened. Nnenna calmly reached into her wrapper and pulled out a flute. Before the snake could strike, she blew into it, hard. A sharp, piercing sound filled the room like a scream from another world. The snake stopped, its body tensed. Its eyes turned away from Nnenna and focused on Obinna. He stood up too fast. What are you doing? He barked. Nnenna blew the flute again, this time even louder. The snake hissed, then slithered back toward him. No, he shouted, backing away. No. It coiled around his legs. He stumbled, falling back against the wall. The snake wrapped around his chest, tightening, its body rising to his neck. He grabbed at it, trying to pull it away, but it was too late. "Who are you?" he gasped. Nnenna stood tall now, her voice steady, her face like stone. "The one they sent to end you," she said. "You killed Amara. You killed them all, but not this one." The snake's head hovered just beneath Obinna's jaw. He gasped, "Please." The snake struck, once, twice. His body jerked, then collapsed. He fell to the floor like wood, still, silent, dead. Nnenna stepped forward. She bent down and whispered something into the snake's ear, something only it could understand. Then she opened the door, and the snake slithered out into the night. She stood alone in the quiet room, her hand still holding the flute, not as a guest, not as a victim, but as the end of everything Obinna had built. By morning, the village would no longer be blind. They would see what was hidden in plain sight, and the man they worshipped would become a warning. By morning, the whispers had already started. People passing the square slowed their steps. Some stopped completely. Others turned around and walked away in silence. Obinna's body lay in the center of the village like a broken myth. His skin pale, his lips dark, his chest still. The snake was gone, but the truth had stayed behind. For years, he was the man everyone praised, the one mothers used as an example, the one daughters daydreamed about. But now, he lay lifeless in the open, his secrets finally catching up with him. The villagers gathered slowly. First, a few curious children, then a group of women returning from the stream, then the elders, then Chief Ebele. No one spoke, they just stared. Nnenna stood a few feet away, holding her aunt's hand, her face calm, her eyes steady. The chief stepped forward, leaned down, and studied Obinna's neck. 2 sharp puncture marks. Everyone recognized them, the same marks they had seen on the other girls, the same ones they had feared, the same ones they had tried to explain away with stories of forest snakes and evil spirits. But now, the truth was lying on the ground in front of them, and it had Obinna's face. Chief Ebele straightened up. He didn't say anything at first. His hands trembled as he reached into his pocket and wiped sweat from his forehead. Finally, his voice cracked the silence. "Who did this?" he asked. His eyes scanned the faces in the crowd. No one answered. Then Nnenna stepped forward. Her voice was not loud, but it was clear. "I did." The crowd turned to her, mouths opened, eyes widened. A few people stepped back. "I did it," she repeated, "but not alone." Chief Ebele frowned. "Explain yourself." Nnenna looked straight ahead. No fear, no rush. Obinna wasn't what you thought he was. He wasn't a man, not fully. He was carrying something inside him, a snake, a spirit, a killer. Some people gasped, others scoffed. "What kind of story is this?" someone muttered. But Nnenna kept going. "He used it to kill. The women who died, he was the last one they saw. He took them to his hut. He charmed them. And when they let their guard down, he summoned it. The snake came out from him. It wrapped around them, bit them, killed them. That's why all the women had the same marks." An old woman in the crowd covered her mouth. A young man dropped the basket he was holding. Chief Ebele's face darkened. "Are you saying Obinna was behind all the deaths?" "Yes," Nnenna said. "I came here because my friend Amara died the same way. She told me in a letter about a man she met. She never said his name, but everything she described, it was him. And I knew I had to come. I had to be sure." Chief Ebele shook his head slowly. "But how? How could something like this happen without anyone knowing?" "Because no one suspected him," she replied. "He was too perfect, too charming. No one wants to believe the danger is the one who smiles the most." The crowd stood in stunned silence. Someone began to cry quietly at the back. Another woman fell to her knees. "My sister," she whispered. "He took my sister." Nnenna held the silver flute in her hand. She raised it. "This is what saved me. An oracle gave it to me. She told me what he was. She told me how to stop him. I let him think he had me. I waited, and when he brought the snake out, I used this." She paused. "I didn't come here to kill him. I came here to stop him, before he killed again." Chief Abele didn't speak for a long time. He just stared at the flute, then at Obinna's body, then at the faces of his people. He turned slowly and faced the crowd. "For years," he said, "we have lost daughters, sisters, friends. We blamed the forest, we blamed the night, but the monster was living among us, and we welcomed him. We laughed with him. We let our guard down." He turned back to Nnenna. "You didn't just stop a killer, you opened our eyes." The villagers began to murmur. Some nodded, others cried openly now. The truth was ugly, but it was real. They buried Obinna that evening. No songs, no dances, no praise, just dust, cold and silent, the same way he left the women he took. Nnenna watched as they lowered his body into the ground. No one touched her, no one dared, but everyone looked, some with fear, some with respect, some with deep, quiet shame. When it was over, Chief Abele called for a village meeting. They gathered under the big Iroko tree, the same place they once welcomed Obinna during the New Yam Festival, the same place he once stood smiling as children danced around him. This time, it was Nnenna who stood there. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't cry. She just spoke the truth. "Let this be the last time we ignore the signs," she said. "The last time we protect a smile without knowing the heart behind it." She turned to the women. "If someone makes you feel uncomfortable, speak. If something doesn't feel right, walk away. And if no one listens, fight anyway." Her words stayed in the air long after the crowd went home. That night, mothers sat their daughters down. Fathers held their wives a little closer. Young men looked at themselves in the mirror with new questions. And all across Ndolo, people prayed, not just for safety, but for wisdom. The next morning, Nnenna packed her things. She tied a wrapper. She hugged her aunt. She greeted the chief. She nodded at the people who had once looked at her with doubt and now watched her with awe. She didn't stay for praise. She didn't stay for thanks. She just walked. Back toward the path that led out of the village, toward the trees, toward the place where it all began. As she walked, a small boy ran after her. He stopped and handed her a folded piece of paper. "My mother said to give you this," he whispered before running away. Nnenna unfolded it. It was a simple drawing, a woman holding a flute, and underneath it, written in charcoal, "Thank you for saving the rest of us." She folded it carefully and placed it in her wrapper. Then she kept walking. Behind her, Ndolo was quiet, but not afraid. The curse had ended. The women were safe, and the snake had finally chosen wrong. Years passed. The village of Ndolo changed, but some things stayed the same. The stream still flowed, the trees still swayed in the wind, and women still gathered under the moonlight to share stories. But there was one story they never forgot. The story of the man with the snake inside him and the woman who ended his reign. People no longer said Obinna's name with praise. In fact, most people stopped saying it at all. It became a name parents used only in warnings, a name whispered when teaching daughters how to spot danger, even if it came wearing a smile. The square where his body had once been found became a place of silence. No one danced there anymore. No one laughed. Even the ground felt different, like it remembered. But Nnenna's name, that one lived on. Children who hadn't even been born yet knew who she was. Elders spoke of her not just as a visitor, but as a warrior, not with weapons, not with fists, but with patience, with wisdom, with courage. In every household, her story was told in pieces. The girl who came alone, the flute that froze the serpent, the moment the hunter became the hunted. Some said she had returned to her village and became a healer. Others believed she walked from place to place, helping other women in silence, never staying too long. One boy claimed he saw her at the edge of a forest once, holding her flute and speaking to a hawk in a language no one else understood. No one could confirm it, but everyone believed it. In time, Ndolo became safe again. The girls who once walked in fear now ran freely through the paths Obinna used to stalk. Mothers smiled again. Fathers slept better. People still remembered what had happened, but the fear no longer ruled them. It had been replaced by something else, something stronger, respect, caution, and a deep belief that not everything beautiful is good, and not every evil comes with claws and red eyes. One evening, under the big Iroko tree, a group of young girls sat around an elder named Mama Dalu. The sky was turning purple. Crickets chirped in the grass. The girls leaned in close, their eyes wide. "Tell us again," one of them whispered. "Tell us the story." Mama Dalu smiled. She placed a small clay pot beside her and rested her hands on her knees. "You want to hear it again?" she asked. They all nodded. She looked around slowly, then began. "There was once a man," she said, "who looked perfect, too perfect. He spoke softly, smiled gently. He helped women carry water. He told them they were special, and they believed him. One by one they followed him, and one by one they never came back." The girls leaned in closer. They already knew this part, but they never got tired of hearing it. "They say he carried a snake," Mama Dalu continued. "Not in a bag, not in a basket, but in his body, a serpent tied to his manhood, and when he whistled, it came out, and once it bit you, you were gone." One of the girls shivered. Another held her friend's hand. But one day, the old woman said, a stranger came. A quiet one, a strong one. She didn't smile at him, didn't fall for his sweet words. She was watching, waiting. She had come with something special, a flute, not just any flute, one given by an oracle, a flute that could break his hold. The girls leaned forward. Mama Dalu's voice dropped to a whisper, and when he brought out the snake to take her like the others, she didn't run. She blew the flute once, and the snake turned on its master. They all gasped, even though they knew the ending. "She left him on the ground," Mama Dalu said, "cold, silent, just like he left the women before her, and that's how the curse ended." Silence followed her words. The girls sat still, staring into the darkness. Then one of them, the youngest, spoke. "Where is she now?" Mama Dalu smiled. "Some say she's still walking, still listening, still watching. So if you ever see a woman with calm eyes and a flute tied at her waist, greet her with respect." The girls nodded. One of them stood and tied her wrapper a little tighter. "Good," Mama Dalu said. "Now go home, and remember, if someone makes you uncomfortable, speak. If something feels wrong, Trust yourself, and if you must walk alone, carry your flute." The girls ran off, their voices fading into the distance. Mama Dalu sat there for a while longer, watching the stars come out. She remembered the day Nnenna left the village. No pride, no victory speech, just quiet footsteps on red earth. But even after all this time, one thing stayed clear in her memory. The way Nnenna had looked back one last time, not to see if anyone was watching, but to make sure no more women would have to follow Obinna ever again. And in that moment, even the night seemed to bow. So the next time someone smiles too sweet, speaks too smooth, or seems too perfect to be true, remember this story, because sometimes the greatest danger hides behind the warmest face, and not all snakes crawl on the ground. Some wear charm like perfume and strike only when your guard is down. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please share your thoughts and tell us what you learned in the comment box. We would truly love to read them. And guess what? Another powerful story is coming your way in just a few days. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell, and hit the like button. Most importantly, share this story with your family and friends. Thank you so much for watching.